Innovation, especially in new markets, as we see that electrification of bicycles is just in the start. And the bicycle adherence already has changed a lot, and the acceptance of the people about different bicycle shapes is already ongoing. That means bicycles more look like small motorcycles. They are getting more massive, they show much more surface than before. People accept it. And this is actually just a start for a totally new transportation world.
The most refreshing product that I saw was actually the most unusual and probably the weirdest idea. You couldn't help but smile when you looked at it. It was just fresh. What we want to see is that guy's or girl's second product, because they're a creative thinker.
Advanced thinking and innovation. This is one of the key that I look for in the D&I awards. As products get entered, the first and foremost is they should be pushing the boundaries of the industry.
透过简单、聪明的方式去解决困难的问题，对，这个是我看中的一部分。另一部分的话是在产品最后成品的细节处理上，怎么去做一个很好的收尾，这也是在这个产品本身吸不吸引人的另一个重点。
科技业也是台湾很重要的一个产业，自行车也是。这两个台湾重要的产业如何能够携手合作？怎么样把我们在科技产业方面关于电脑相关的一些设备啊，怎么样运用在这个脚踏车的产业上？这对台湾来讲都是一个加分的效果，就是1+1应该可以大于2。
One of the common features we see this year is that we have a system design, system thinking. Whereas before it's more of a product, this year we see a lot of the entries start thinking about a system, how they work with each other. So this is a good thing for the industry.
I think what COVID-19 is going to affect is everyone's understanding of how hard it is to make things. So I think it will change the focus on manufacturability, because you can't design things right now that are hard to make because you won't get them for a year. So designing things that are manufacturable is going to become more important.
I think that's also a very good platform for established companies or for newcomers and startups that have some innovation to showcase and to get the word out to the general public or to the industry. Normally they would not be so obviously known or discovered. So with this award, they really get into the spotlight and get the awareness they deserve. And that also, I think, really triggers innovation in general in the bike industry.
Innovation, especially in new markets, as we see that electrification of bicycles is just in the start. And the bicycle adherence already has changed a lot, and the acceptance of the people about different bicycle shapes is already ongoing. That means bicycles more look like small motorcycles. They are getting more massive, they show much more surface than before, and people accept it. And this is actually just a start for a totally new transportation world.
The most refreshing product that I saw was actually the most unusual and probably the weirdest idea. You couldn't help but smile when you looked at it. It was just fresh. What we want to see is that guy's or girl's second product, because they're a creative thinker.
Advanced thinking and innovation. This is one of the key that I look for in the D&I awards. As products get entered, the first and foremost is they should be pushing the boundaries of the industry.
透过简单、聪明的方式去解决困难的问题，对，这个是我看中的一部分。另一部分的话是在产品最后成品的细节处理上，怎么去做一个很好的收尾，这也是在这个产品本身吸不吸引人的另一个重点。
科技业也是台湾很重要的一个产业，自行车也是。这两个台湾重要的产业如何能够携手合作？怎么样把我们在科技产业方面关于电脑相关的一些设备啊，怎么样运用在这个脚踏车的产业上？这对台湾来讲都是一个加分的效果，就是1+1应该可以大于2。
One of the common features we see this year is that we have a system design, system thinking, whereas before it's more of a product.
各位来宾，我们今天的活动即将在9:30。
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our event will begin at 9:30 promptly. The presentation slides for today's conference will be uploaded to a Line group. You are welcome to scan the QR code on the screen now to join this Line group to get information. If you need simultaneous interpretation services, please bring a photo ID to exchange for an interpreting receiving headset at our registration desk. During the conference, please also switch your phone to silent mode. Thank you.
move 又来不了。
各位现场的贵宾以及在
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen who are participating on site and watching online, good morning. Welcome to today's conference, Beyond Exercise 2021 Smart Sporting and Smart Cycling Summit, co-organized by Taitra and Bureau of Foreign Trade, Taiwan. I'm your MC today, Angela. Taiwan is an important member of the global sporting goods and cycling ecosystem. We understand that COVID-19 pandemic has dealt a big blow to global economic growth and industrial development. This year, we have launched a virtual version of Thais Expo and Taipei Cycle. We're happy that today's forum can become part of it, and together we can discuss future trends of smart sporting and cycling industry to explore opportunities of innovative breakthroughs and provide new momentum for all of our industry friends to battle against the headwind. Before the forum begins, I would like to introduce to you our distinguished guests and speakers. First of all, Mr. Zhi Hongliu, Deputy Director General of Bureau of Foreign Trade, Taiwan. Mr. Simon Wang, Executive Vice President of Taiwan External Trade Development Council, Taitra. Mr. Robbert Marjvikas, Specialized Bicycle Components Executive Vice President. Mr. Ben Wilde, Global Director of Education and Training of Johnson Health Tech. Thank you very much for coming today. Now, I would like to invite Deputy Director General of Bureau of Foreign Trade, Mr. Zhi Hongliu, to say a few words to open today's forum. Please put your hands together and welcome Deputy Director General Liu. Mr. Simon Wang of Taitra. Director Mr. Wilde from Johnson Health Tech. And also Mr. Robert Marjvikas, the Executive Vice President of Specialized Bicycle Components.
Good to see you here. 那今天还有各位业界先进，欢迎。
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's forum. Before I came here, I was a little bit hesitant because I don't know if I need to put on a formal suit or rather I would put on some sporting apparels. Finally, I decided to go for the safer choice and put on a suit. I'm very happy to participate in today's forum that talks about smart sporting and smart cycling. Sports is a very important industry for Taiwan, and I believe for every one of us here. Although this is not a particularly big domestic industry in terms of its value, however, its importance is undeniable. I remember that when my kid was 5 years old, I took away the two supporting wheels on my kid's bicycle. I could feel my kid's happiness and that sense of excitement because he can now ride on a proper bicycle. And I also felt very happy because this was a very critical moment in terms of the bonding between me and my son. When I was in high school and studying in college as well, I really loved playing basketball with my friends. And those friends who play basketball with me stay as very true friends until today. This kind of friendship or connection is not something that can be bought with money or with any kind of products. So I'm happy to be here because I know that sports is the type of activity where this kind of friendship and connection can be built. After I finished my compulsory military training, my first job was in a bicycle manufacturing factory here in Taiwan. So I think cycling industry has a personal connection with me as well. Taiwan's sporting goods and cycling suppliers are known for their good quality and innovative ability. And that is why, during the past decades, Taiwan has always been an important global player in sporting goods and cycling supplies. I remember that when I was working in that bicycle manufacturer, I was already seeing the trend of production capacities and facilities moving to China. I asked my boss, why didn't you move to China along with all of your other colleagues in the industry? My boss told me, well, you have to have a very clear and sophisticated plan before moving. We shouldn't just follow the trend. We have to stay here in Taiwan and think through the way ahead. A couple of days ago, I visited the website of that company, and I could see that they are doing even better than the time when I was working for them. So we can see that in order to survive and compete in the sporting goods and cycling industry, you have to be able to catch up with the technological trend. In Taiwan, we also have a very strong IoT and ICT sector. So we are trying to combine the strength in both of these sectors so that we can propel a new wave of growth in the sporting industry. During the Chinese New Year vacation this year, I actually spent a lot of time on mobile games. Some of these mobile games has to do with sports as well. So sports really has become part of our life because of all these mobile devices. We also know that cycling will become more and more important in terms of improving the life quality of people living in urban environments. So the cycling industry will not only become an important player in providing fitness opportunities, but also in providing happiness, the sense of happiness to people. In Taiwan, we could see that there has been tremendous growth in the bicycle industry. For example, e-bikes have become very popular. And in terms of sporting goods, we will see more than 36% of growth in the sporting goods industry here in Taiwan. So from the perspective of the MOEA, we will continue to provide all the assistance we can to the sporting goods and cycling industry here in Taiwan. In our government, we also have a program that will provide subsidies to products and services that involve innovative and smart technology use. We also have programs sponsoring excellent quality products that are made in Taiwan. So I would like to encourage all of our suppliers and companies here in Taiwan to make use of these programs. We also need to look at how to integrate new technologies such as AR and VR into the sporting goods and sports industry. Today, we are very honored to have so many experts as speakers here. I would like to encourage you to take this opportunity and to learn as much from them as you can. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Liu. Now we would like to welcome Mr. Simon Wang, Executive Vice President of Taiwan External Trade Development Council, Taitra, to say a few words to open today's conference. Thank you, Angela. Deputy Director General Liu, Ben, Robbert, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our friends online, good morning. It is my great honor to participate in today's conference on behalf of Taitra. First of all, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to all of you to today's forum. Today, we are going to discuss the theme of smart sporting and smart cycling. Smart, of course, is a buzzword nowadays. And when we talk about smart technologies, we think about chips and semiconductors. The ability to manufacture semiconductor is critical in ensuring stable supply in the smart industry. And Taiwan has been an important manufacturer of semiconductor in the world. And that is why we have a good support of our smart sporting and smart cycling industry here in Taiwan. We know that COVID-19 is still ongoing in many parts of the world. It is still affecting a lot of people's lives and works. In the sports industry, we can also see some companies being impacted and influenced negatively by COVID-19. Last year, we could see that the export of our sports industry grew by 13%. So that was good news. However, we know that not all of the companies survived this impact by COVID-19. One of our speakers today, Mr. Ben Wilde, is from Johnson Health Tech. Before the forum began, I was talking to him, and we talked about how Johnson Health Tech quickly shifted its focus to B2C businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic breakout. Johnson Mirror was one of the new products that they have launched last year. And with Johnson Mirror, you can see that Johnson Health Tech was able to develop a completely new business model, showing their resilience. The cycling industry in Taiwan also performed very well last year. To a certain extent, the cycling industry has benefited from the COVID-19 pandemic. People need to work from home. They have to maintain social distancing, but at the same time, they still crave for outdoor activities and leisure. And that is why bicycles has become one of the best choices. Last year, Taiwan's export of e-bike grew by 18% in terms of volume and grew by 14.4% in terms of value. The main export destination of Taiwan's e-bikes, of course, is Europe and North America. And they account for 78.7% of our total export. That is the whole vehicle. E-bike accounts for 90.7% of all of the bike exports value of Taiwan. I have several friends who are owners of cycling manufacturers here in Taiwan, and they are telling me that they are already getting orders that will be delivered next year. And we're still early in 2021. Right now, COVID-19 vaccines have been rolled out in more than 60 countries. Here in Taiwan, we would like to ensure everyone's safety and health, and that is why we have decided that the Taipei Cycle and Thai Expo this year will be an online exhibition. We are very happy that today we have invited a lot of distinguished speakers, experts, and our friends from the industry to discuss our observation of the future trend of smart sporting and smart cycling industry. I would like to wish today's forum a big success and health and prosperity for all of you.
To the stage for a group photo. 让我们欢迎经济部国际贸易局刘志宏副。
First of all, let's welcome Deputy Director, Mr. Liu, and Mr. Robbert Mark Rivas, Executive Vice President of Specialized Bicycle Component.
Together. Thumbs up for the photo shoot, please. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Please take your seat. 再次谢谢贵宾的配合，请回座。好，那么紧接着呢？
Thank you all very much. Now we will start today's sessions. Sport is an important part to our lives. It has become where the consumers can show their own lifestyle. Technology is very useful in building new smart sporting and new business model. It is able to drive the development of industry. We would like to invite the first speaker, Robbert de Kock, President and CEO of World Federation of the Sporting Goods Industry from WFSGI. Let's welcome him.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and thank you very much for being with us today on the global report on the sporting goods industry for 2021, with the title "The Next Normal for an Industry in Flux." Next page, please. So, for the ones who do not know me, my name is Robbert de Kock. I am the president of the WFSGI, the World Federation of the Sporting Goods Industry. And I will present to you alone the report today. In normal situations, I will be together with my colleague from McKinsey, Alexander Thiel, but unfortunately he had other challenges, so he couldn't join us for the presentation today. So I hope you bear with me for a while, so I can do my best to present it to you. But before that, let me start thanking, first of all, McKinsey for the preparations of this report, but also Alexander and Sabine, who have been working very hard, the WFSGI team, but also a big thank you to the Taiwan government, to Taitra in specific, and also to the two government representatives, Mr. Chi Hong Ryu, the Deputy Director of the Bureau of Foreign Trade of the Ministry of Economic Affairs, but also to Mr. Simon Wang, the Executive Vice President of Taiwan as Executive Trade Development Council, Taitra. For giving us basically the opportunity to speak today and to present to you as good as we can. So let's go into page 3. Good. Looking back at 2020, the executives in the sporting goods industry have different perspectives. I would say similar to many industries, the majority of our executives reported that the conditions were either worse or much worse than in 2019, with nearly 2/3 posting declined sales. However, a number of them were more positive because they were positioned in pockets of growth fueled by the pandemic. We saw here developments in certain sport categories, if this is the outdoor industry, if these were the bicycle industry, but also in the apparel and at leisure areas, there were significant growth, and we will get back to this later in this presentation. On the slide here, you already noticed that in general, the sporting goods industry and sportswear industry in particular has done much better than the apparel industry. And on the indications, you see on the lows and the highs that the sporting goods industry in October 20 was back on 107, which is I would say, a very hopeful number for the future. Next slide, please. Now, unfortunately, on this one, to give you an outlook on 2021, uncertainty, I'm afraid, isn't going away that fast. However, in the year ahead, we will see that there are a range of priorities that we have on our agenda. I would say these look at growth opportunities. We have to look at increasing competition. We need to get a grip of the many changes that are impacting the industry. And yes, sentimental overall is much more positive in 2021 than it is in 2020, with 62% of our executives are saying that they expect business conditions to improve. And 6% only that they think it becomes worse. Now, as we moved already a little bit into 2021, we know also that the outcome and the outlook with the vaccinations are definitely better. So I believe that the 62% is a correct value for 2021. And I suppose it will even be a little bit better than that. Next slide, please. On the trends that you see here, and I think this is therefore an important page, those are the 8 main themes that we have put around this report and to shape the report with. And they give you an outlook on the sporting goods industry in 2021. Most of these themes were already emerged ahead of COVID-19, but dramatic events of the past year have accelerated their introduction and heightened, I would say, their impact. The research shows that it will be critical for sporting goods players to align these evolving dynamics in order to succeed in next normal. Now, let me try to take you through a little bit through these trends and to give you a small description of where this would lead. As you can see on the left side of the slide, we have divided it in 3 different sectors. The consumer shifts on one side, digital leap on the other side, and the last one is the industry disruption. Now, let me start you with the top one, which is consumer shifts. And let me start with athleisure. I mean, athleisure is the new default and a competitive battleground, though. So athleisure was a mega trend already before COVID-19, but the pandemic, I would say, has served further to blur the lines between work and free time, as everybody was sitting at home for a period of time. And there are rising acceptances of comfortable wear, where previously we were obliged to have formal wear. With fashion brands, though, increasingly entering in this segment, for the sporting goods industry, it is important that we should leverage innovation ability and market knowledge in order to win this battle. The second point is the physical activity gap, an opportunity to put healthy lifestyles within the reach of all. A healthy lifestyle is quite important today for everything we do, but COVID-19 has triggered significant shifts in physical activity levels. Around 40% of the people are being less active, while around 30% are more active. Now, the current crisis will drive more households into lower income groups, which are already more vulnerable to reduced levels of physical activity. The sporting goods industry should embrace, therefore, a multi-stakeholder approach to tackle physical activity and physical inertia, especially in communities left behind. Because it cannot be the case that people with more money have more possibilities of having physical activity than others. Now, the third one in the consumer shift is sustainability. The COVID accelerated next normal, as we call it. Sustainability has become an increasingly urgent consumer priority, and companies have responded by introducing a more sustainable products. COVID-19 has accelerated this trend even more. And the onus is on companies to secure sustainability and their supply chains, but also to engage with concepts such as circularity, where we need to start thinking about how to move forwards on those. Now, if we move forward to the digital leap, digital and enabled fitness and exercise communities take a center stage here. We have seen that more and more companies have gone into the digital fitness area. Therefore, digital fitness accelerated dramatically during the pandemic, positively, as digital solutions provided both inspirations for exercise, but also a sense of community. We didn't feel alone. Digital tools will continue to be integrated into fitness routines, also post-COVID. And the big winners to date have been connected offerings, allowing remote exercise in community or even competitive setting. Take an example of Swift or Peloton, who presented basically races on screen, and where you could race with other people sitting at home on your home exercise bike. Now, the fifth one in the digital leap is the way forward in online, and an accelerating business model shifting to direct to consumers, the D2C model. The past year here has seen a leap forward in the online shopping, with many first-time users who we expect will stick to their new habits. Companies need to migrate from wholesale to direct to consumers, putting digital commerce at the center of their business model. And as we can all see around us, many people who never used digital before have now become comfortable and said, well, it's not such a bad idea, actually. And I'm coming back later on to show you some of the changes that you see and some of the boosts that some of the brands received. Now, the sixth part in the digital leap is the marketing shift from assets to influencers, which is another opportunity to make digital pay. Now, digital marketing was traditionally focused on the return of investment-driven performance. But with people spending increasingly amounts of time online and many sports events cancelled, brands needed to find new ways to engage with people and to engage with consumers. Individual athletes will play a pivotal role and become the communicators of choice to align brands with consumers. And what we have seen is that individual athletes, take Ronaldo as an example, and you can see that further in the report, has a huge number of followers, over 90 million followers. So those people have a very strong influence on consumers. Now let's move to the last sector of this chart, which is the industry disruption. And I apologize to take a little bit more time of this chart because it gives a full overview a little bit where we are. In the industry disruption, we have retail, which is under pressure, but it will play a critical part in the future channel mix. Now, as you know, brick and mortar stores were already under pressure pre-COVID. However, the lockdown measures have accelerated the crisis amid widespread closures, increasing financial pressure. And to attack consumers back to the stores, retail definitely have to find new purposes, new experiences, and a new level of convenience that cannot be offered digital. And I will come back later on also of the needs to be able to survive or not. So for retail, we definitely see here a must to change. The eighth sector, which has a club of challenges, is supply chain. I think, first of all, the supply chain needs to become flexible and it needs to raise the bar on agility. Now, let me explain that a little. More agility on supply chains have become permanent feature on companies' agendas. In a post-COVID world, characterized by shorter demand cycles, e-commerce and closer direct-to-consumer relationships will table the stakes in some of the markets. Admit persistent uncertainty, yes. It will make sense both to build a stronger supply chain partnership and explore alternatives such as nearshoring. For the ones who are not familiar with the term nearshoring, it means producing closer to markets. Next slide, please. Good, and here we see then a slide basically winning in the next normal. What do you have to do to be in the game or not? And pre-COVID, many companies were riding a wave of increased sport participation. However, COVID-19 raised the bars for winning amid tougher market conditions, pressure on physical retail, and the need for investment to align in increasing dynamically industry landscape. And in the next normal, winners will have to be characterized, and you see that on the left side of the slide, or I'm sorry to say it, in the middle of the slide with the blue lines. And to be a winner, first of all, you need strong presence in growing segments and sport categories, including women, China, and athleisure, which we will predict together with accounts for around 2/3 of the growth between 2020 and 2023, as well as running and cycling. The other thing you have to do is to comply with an excellent direct-to-consumer business model, including a proprietary e-commerce and seamless omni-channel offering, powered by cutting-edge back-to-end experience, fast development cycles, and omni-channel capabilities. Third one, direct connections to consumers through your digital communities, loyalty programs, and the like. Fourth, a purpose-driven retail footprint with specific formats for different stores. Fifth, the credibility and sustainability, either as a differentiator or par with industry at the minimum. Sixth, revisited supply chain relationships with built-in agility, local for local sourcing and closer partnerships. Seven, sports marketing optimized digital channels with focus on influencers, individual athletes, for example, but also aligned with brand values. And the last one is agility in planning and budgeting to respond quickly to changes in the market and environment, including potential re-emerge of COVID-19, because it's coming back, it's going, it's coming back, it's going. So you have to be agile. So winning players will not necessarily possess all these attributes. However, those can get grip on most of them will be positioned to create a vicious circle of commercial excellence and increase sales, leading to a higher fixed cost degression and more cash for investments. On the other hand, and this you see on the right side, players that fail to make the necessary changes, conversely, may find themselves stuck in vicious circles of worsening commercial performance, higher relative costs, and decreasing investments potential that will undermine their ability to realize opportunities. Next slide, please. Good. What we see here is the sustainability part. The COVID accelerated next normal, I would say. So many companies have are building, I would say, out their proportions with reference of the UN Sustainability Development Goals, which provides obviously a very clear structure for targets and processes at 64% of the companies. So today, 64% of the companies have taken that as a lead for their company. And the WFSGI McKinsey report shows that just 1 in 10 companies says that it is not trying to become more sustainable. A nuance in this trend is that a few companies have been forced to take their eyes off the ball as they have tried to manage through a damaging impact of the pandemic. While attitudes towards sustainability have evolved over time, the COVID pandemic has accelerated the pace of change, with consumers drawing stronger connections between human actions and damage to natural and socioeconomic systems. 88% of the respondents to the survey say that COVID-19, they believe, we need to pay more attention to reducing pollution, and 56% take personal responsibility, saying that they should do more themselves to limit their impact on climate change. What we see here on this slide is also that the interest has been growing on sustainability for products by plus 58% per annum. And this is obviously an interesting remark that we have seen out of the report presented. Next slide, please. Responsible attitude is going further than that, and is also feeding through the purchase behaviors with Gen Z, slightly ahead of the other age groups in connecting purchasing decisions with factors including the use of sustainable packaging, the retailer's sustainable credentials, but also companies' attitude towards employees. So the whole sustainability area becomes much more broader when it comes to the orientation for the consumers. And therefore, the key areas of activity on sustainability strategies is supply chain. Less than 10% of the materials today of the global apparel industry are currently from sustainable sources. That's not a lot. And the industry still relies on a large extent on resources, intensively raw materials such as plastic and cotton. There is also persistent focus on volume rather than price, leading to an overproduction and excessive use of landfills, which is not the goal. More than 50% of the items are ending up in landfills or incinerated. And that's not really the goal for the future. So we have to work hard as an industry to think around other formulas, other needs to help out, as you have seen in this slide on the right side. Next page, please. The digital first trend here is, first of all, this is the online part and accelerating business through the direct-to-consumer model. So we see here some indications on the consumers on the left side, from the Gen Z, the millennials, Gen Z, etc., till the baby boomers and older. I'm afraid I'm a boomer, I guess. And then you see a little bit also what are the activities next to it. So coming back to this, the digital, I would say, first trend is strongest amongst young consumers. That's what we see clearly here. Some 84% of the Gen Z, those are the ones born between 1996 and 2010, who had not previously shopped online, started to do so during the pandemic. Conversely, just 90% of the baby boomers dipped their toes into the digital for the first time. Now, even me, I started really to buy something online, which I didn't do probably previously. Still, across all groups, there was a similar level of determination to make the change stick, with intended net migration away from physical channels running at only 10 to 15%. Now, those are then the situations that we really have to make sure of, and what's the future going to be? And it's going to hold. We're convinced that it will hold, still with a role to play for retail, where I come back later on. Next page, please. Good. The second part, and what we can see here, and this is what I mentioned before, is the growth of some of the players and how much they have increased their direct-to-consumer business. And let me just line out that in 2021, executives expect to see here an online penetration hold steady of around 25% of the sales, which is a significant increase, representing a doubling share since 2019. Put it in another way, the segment achieved growth predicts for 6 years in just 2. Actually, the 6 years has been accelerated in 2 years. With major names, including Adidas, Nike, Dick's Sporting Goods, and others, to make a big jump in their digital sales. In the light of these significant changes, we see also the channel landscape and how should the sporting goods companies respond. Now, research suggests a fundamental shift from a wholesale to digital to consumer approach will be necessary and required significant business model transformations. A necessary precondition is to ramp up digital capabilities by elevating e-commerce, embracing direct-to-consumer models, and combining the best of digital and physical, because physical will remain important. In the past, it was often sufficient for companies to focus on wholesale and then add direct-to-consumer e-commerce models offering. In the future, this is in the future, I'm afraid, unlikely to be enough. So one has to do much more than that. So companies must therefore transform their fundamentals of their business model, which means creating an engaging digital store, aligning the company's strategy to it, and business and operating models with digital ways of working. This will require, by the way, further modification and a shift in culture, because many people do not have the same culture here. And the mindset has to be changed and must be backed by digital expertise to enable an agile response to fast-changing consumer needs. If brands are looking for lessons on creating digital-first propositions, a good place to start here is China, which has taken the lead in combining e-commerce with physical and social experiences. Next page, please. Good, here a small overview on the retail. As we have said already a couple of times, retail will remain important, but it will be a combination, as I've said just in the last sentence on the last page. So let's come back a little bit to retail in general. Retail has been, even before the pandemic, has been struggling, leading to a strategic rethinking amongst many of the major brands. Adidas, Foot Locker, and Nike have reduced their physical footprints over the recent years. Foot Locker has reduced in 2015, since 2015, their stores from 3,383 to 3,100 in the second quarter of 2020. Nike has reduced it from 1,182 to 1,096 in the second quarter. So we see that there is a reduction and a concentration on where and how retail outlets will be. So the number definitely confirms the negative trends of openings over the last years, where across apparel, footwear, and accessory segments, that's been the case everywhere. Since COVID-19, though, physical retail has faced additional challenges including the lockdowns, obviously, where nobody could operate, but also a loyalty shift among some consumers who felt empowered by digital experiments with new offerings and persistent health and safety concerns. So, I mean, it's logic that people then developed, I would say, the digital platforms. This resulted obviously in the pressure on inline stores' revenues, and that had led in certain cases to liquidity challenges, with several over-leveraged chains struggling to serve their debts. The most affected have been those who have failed to transformation from physical footprint and to develop here an online and omni-channel offering. Now, we've seen several who missed the trend. Not surprising, most executives expect the stabilization trend to continue, with 45% predicting fewer stores over the coming years and just 7% anticipating an uptick. Going forward, we feel that physical stores are unlikely to be able to compete sustainably without incorporating some elements in the digital experience. This may compromise the operational improvements to capture data, manage inventory, and boost productivity, as well as consumers facing innovation such as mobile POS, personal recommendations, and in-store fulfillment. So, coming back, retail has to reinvent themselves. Next page, please. Good, supply chain. The other challenge in our area and in our industry over the last period. So the last year, I would say, has put an enormous pressure on supply chain. This happened through the lockdown in key supplier countries, transportation disruption, followed by a significant drop of demand, and then demand volatility. I need to practice that word more. At the same time, I would say digital has fueled a move away from wholesale business models and towards direct to consumer, while automation has reshaped the supplier landscape. So given these dynamics, the sporting goods companies require bold strategies to future-proof their supply chains for the next normal. And in some cases, fashion good companies have explored nearshoring and reshoring options to reduce lead times even further, as well as mitigate shipping uncertainty, with trade route concerns. Indeed, 62% of the executives in one survey said that they were considering local options, mindful that reshoring is not an option for everybody, but can save 4 to 6 weeks of lead times. Many are also conscious of the rising labor costs in some of the markets. Take China, where the labor costs are now par on Mexico's or even Eastern Europe. And local sourcing is actually cheaper in some cases. Now, obviously, automation is here another reason to move production to come closer to home. And companies like, for example, Zara in the fast fashion industry have invested heavily in highly automated facilities close to market. Finally, governments are often keen to promote, I would say, local productions and are willing to offer incentives and tax breaks to attract manufacturing to domestic markets. Now, alongside exploring nearshoring options, sporting goods leaders are keen to strengthen relationships with existing suppliers. And let's be honest, the sporting goods industry is still depending on manufacturing where they are present today, because the volumes that we're doing for nearshoring are not always convenient, nor is the automation facilities enough to cover those kind of situations. And yes, therefore, indeed, 73% say that they're focusing on forcing rather close relations with their partnerships and probably with fewer counterparts. 60%, though, predicts consolidation in supply chain over the coming period. And a related emerging trend is co-location with suppliers supported by bespoke and customized machinery, which can increasingly simply be sourced on timelines as short as 1 day. Now, that would be nice, obviously, and this is what you then see in certain other industries already happening. That's basically on the demand, on-demand delivery. Now, the slide shows you here also on the right side that some of these organizations have, of course, created a huge boom due to their supply chain and the internet sales. And that's then accelerated enormously since, and here with Lululemon as, I would say, the big winner for this. Now, that said, I think that leaves us to come to the end of our presentation. And my sincere apologies for the time that I had to spend, or that I could spend on this presentation, because the report is an 80-page report. Now, it is available for download for every of you. You can go to the website of WFSGI. It's called WFSGI.org. And there you can download it free of charge, no cost. You just fill in your name, your email address, etc. And then you can download it. And it's an 80-page document, which obviously gives you further insight in what to do and what to expect for the future year. I hope with that to have come to the final presentation. I think Nilan's next page, I think, is just the references, the disclaimers. Thank you very much. So this page in the end gives you a little bit of an overview, which is also in the report. And with that, I would say I wish to thank you at least for your attention today. And we wish you obviously a good year 2021. And hopefully there are some of these comments that we have given you today, or what the report will express, that will help you to reshape your business or to confirm that you're on the right track. Thank you from my side today. Thank you to Taitra once more for the opportunity, and we'll hope to see you back in a physical format, hopefully a year from now, where our travel possibilities with the vaccination would be easier, and therefore I would say also more personal. Thank you very much, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. 谢谢我们的第一位讲者 Mr. Robbert D. Kock.
Thank you, Mr. Robbert D. Kock, and we look forward to seeing you someday physically in the conference. Our next topic will be New Opportunity Movement Detection. To be with us is Mr. Ben Wilde, Global Director of Education and Training Director of Johnson Health Tech. This company is the top one professional sports equipment company in Asia and top 3 in the world. They focus on the development of health business. Last year, they launched the so-called mirrors in the market, which were very well received by the market.
Johnson Health Tech， 请大家以掌声欢迎我们的讲者。
Thank you very much. Good morning from me. I'll add my good morning and my thanks. My thanks, of course, to everyone involved in organizing. My thanks to the sponsors, and also, of course, my co-presenters. Lots of interesting information, at least for me, to reflect on. And I'm pleased to say that some of the data that Robbert de Kock just shared is at least somewhat consistent with some of the numbers I will also share. Now, he had 2 trends. I wrote them down, so I need to just take a look. Some of his trends from the outset. His trend number 2 was physical activity gap. And I think there's some relevance perhaps to some of the information I'm going to try and share. And his number 4 was the digital enabled fitness. And hopefully I'll be able to share some information on that as we go through as well. Of course, I'll be looking to address the trends from the fitness equipment side and from our customers. And we'll, of course, try and address the consequences and the opportunities and dynamics created by the COVID-19 pandemic and the responses we've seen as a consequence. Okay, so without further ado, we know that COVID-19 has pushed us to explore digital solutions. We just saw an example with Robbert de Kock pre-recording his presentation. So just one example of many. In terms of understanding that, then COVID-19 has brought to the forefront to the top of mind fitness and health to perhaps a greater percentage of all of the global populations than ever before. By the way, I should add my thanks to the translation team as well. Thank you wherever you are. In terms of digital spending in fitness, we've seen a similar increase of somewhere in the region of 30 to 35%, and it's definitely representing a growth opportunity. Some of you may have recalled Robbert Kock just speaking to Peloton. Peloton is a consumer bike that has streaming classes from home. They are the market leaders, and in their last financial year reporting, they're at $1.8 billion worth of revenue. So a fast grower and definitely directing some new focus in our industry. Additional learnings, there are some unfortunate downsides. We know that the older people are and the greater number of health conditions they have, the greater the risk that they will not manage COVID-19 well. So perhaps the risks of them getting COVID-19, and if they do get it, them dealing with it may not be as positive as we would like. Similarly, we know that there's this deconditioning effect. That means any fitness capacity that people have had has in some cases, not all cases, diminished and reduced. And we'll try and look at some of those numbers as we go through. So as an example, 25% of older people surveyed, this is European data, cannot walk as far. 20% feel less steady on their feet. And when you think that in over 65s, the number one cause of injury is falling down, these data have real implications, not just for the COVID-19 impact, but wider health implications. Similarly, we're not just talking about physical health, there are mental health implications both of lockdown, of lack of social interaction, and of isolation as associated with some of the social distancing requirements. So I guess we could summarize that as saying there is a need, there is a requirement, particularly during these pandemic days. During COVID-19, we need to consider reconditioning. We need to consider our health, not just in the short term, but into the longer term. Now, one of the reasons I joined Johnson in the first place is our founder and our CEO is the Sun's founder, have genuine commitments to positively impacting health, and hopefully we'll see some examples of that. The good news is that no matter what age, I'll say that again because that's important, no matter what age and no matter what starting position, no matter how unfit or unhealthy somebody is, almost everybody can improve. There's one other point. The side effects of increased exercise and activity are almost all positive. I say almost because there is a risk of injury with activity, depending upon how we do it. So maybe we need to think about this reconditioning in the pandemic opportunity, and maybe we also need to think about a shift to well-being. Now that may or may not link with some of our sporting aspirations. The chances are, if you and your friends and your peer group or your customers are already interested in sport, well, they'll probably continue when they have the opportunity. But what percentage of a given population is that? And typically when we break down sports, and even when we look at physical activity or memberships of health clubs, we're talking around about 10% of a given population. In some instances, 20%, but I was talking with Robbert earlier, we need to look at those data quite carefully. In my industry, in the fitness industry, some markets claim 22% of the population are members at health clubs. But the criteria for that is visiting a health club just once per month. I'm not sure how much I can improve my health visiting my health club once a month. So reconditioning is something we want to put back on the agenda. And now I risk, forgive me, because my background is exercise physiology, I risk declaring my bias. So perhaps we hear a lot of noise, a lot of commentary around the need for high intensity activity. You may hear a counter view, a different perspective from me. I think we need to focus on a shift to well-being, and that fortunately includes the bicycle industry. It includes other outdoor exercise opportunities. It includes working out at home, and of course, the facilities that are available as and when they're open to the public. So some of the trends here, we know that there are increased thoughts and intentions towards improving one's health. Where people do that, we'll look at together. But some experts are predicting, and this is a report from the Harrison Group that was produced in May of last year, they said that up to $10 billion may shift from the commercial health club sector to home fitness. Now, they put a nice word may in there, so they're being a little bit careful, with all respect. My question is this: is that really the case? So Robbert Kock actually mentioned the Peloton group. Now, Peloton, I need to just double check my numbers. They have some, Peloton have some 164 million workouts in the last fiscal year that they reported. 164 million workouts with 3.1 million memberships. Some of you are much better at maths than I am, but you can realize that that is 52.9 workouts per year. How many weeks in a year? 52. So it's about one workout a week per person. They have some other data that suggests they get 18 connected fitness workouts per month, which is interesting because 18 sounds good until you realize that there are 2.3 people per membership. Again, when you do the simple maths, you can see that there's between 1.5 and 1.9 workouts per week. The discrepancy between those numbers aside, when we crunch Peloton data, and they are very successful and a tremendous company, they are the market leaders in digital fitness opportunities for the home. But when we crunch those numbers down, two different ways of doing it, they're either getting one workout per week or two, basically. Again, the same challenge is represented. How much are we able to improve our health working out once or twice a week? What do you think? A lot or a little? You can do a little. Yeah, probably not everything. And in fact, a competitor of ours, Life Fitness, the CEO used an example I quite like. He said, we all have kitchens at home. We have a place where we can prepare food at home, but we still maybe get takeaway or we go to a restaurant sometimes. And it was an interesting perspective that in order to eat, we can either cook at home, I can get takeaway to come in, Deliveroo or Uber Eats or something else, and I can also go to a restaurant or my favorite restaurant of choice. In a similar way, perhaps it's not health clubs versus home. Perhaps the reality is both. Perhaps it's health club and home and outdoors and everything else. To my mind, the phrase that springs to mind is, this is not a zero-sum game. If I'm interested in my health, I will, and do, by the way, have a bicycle and use it sometimes. I will have some exercise equipment at home and use it sometimes. It may not always look like it. And I will maybe have a membership of a health club. Maybe I'll work out with friends outside. So this overall perspective is probably our corporate position. So there's just a representation of this. We see these two distinct options. There is one new option, which is that fourth trend that Robbert Kock just mentioned, which is around the digital solution. And there may be somewhere between these, which we sometimes refer to as hybrid. Now, we have an example of this. Some of you may have seen our marketing campaigns around our Johnson at Mirror product. The idea being you can see yourself as you're guided, so I can see if my technique is correct. Look, irrespective of which option or which combination of options, the information around here, the accurate information, the technically correct, how much exercise do I need to do per week to improve my health? Do you know? Do the people out there who are interested, do the percentage of the population who want to improve, do they know? By the way, it's 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise that can be accumulated throughout a 7-day period, most typically represented as 5 times 30 minutes, but it can be in any unit. You can build it up in 2 or 3 or even 1-minute blocks now. That's the latest research as of last year. So accurate information, positive reinforcement, support and encouragement, coaching, social engagement, and really helping people to develop this exercise habit rather than just buy some equipment and hang their coat on it in future. Some of you may have seen that too. So there's definitely some considerations. When we look at public confidence, kind of interesting, this, let me just check, this is from 33,000 people were surveyed across 177 different organizations. So quite a big survey sample, again from Europe, but over a third of customers said they were comfortable going to the gym once they were able to. And in fact, perhaps more comfortable going to a commercial fitness facility rather than other public places. Customers also said they were keen, they were enthusiastic about returning. 76% of members said they would return immediately upon that opportunity. The flip side of that coin is also interesting to me. Only 12% of those people surveyed said that they did not intend to go back. That's significant. 12% of people are still sufficiently uncomfortable to go back. We need to bear that in mind. So we see these trends, and I can summarize this, don't worry, and I can share these data if you want them. But in a similar way to Robbert de Kock's presentation, he said some people are doing more activity in lockdown or under COVID, even when they're in their quarantine room, as Robbert did. He managed more than 10,000 steps a day and an exercise routine for 14 straight days, obviously very dedicated. But whether it's male or female, some members are aware of their health requirements and doing more, but some, even though they're aware of it, are doing less. And we can see 37% of men in this survey and 40% of women reported that they were doing less across 6 waves of lockdown from the UK. This is, you might recognize my accent, I'm British. This is British data. But pretty similar when we look at other comparative studies. So some people want to do more and are doing more. Some people intend to do more but are not yet doing it. It's interesting because when we look at something as simple as decathlon sales, these data are now just about a year old, but look at the impact across so many different product categories of COVID-19. This tells me people really intend to do more exercise. Do you think all of those people who bought a skipping rope or another accessory from Decathlon, do you think they're ready to do more? Do you think they're still doing more? And that represents the challenge for us as a series of organizations, creating habitual change. And if I may, just as an example of habitual change, how many of you woke up this morning and cleaned your teeth? Just show me your hands. Did everyone clean your teeth? Everyone's hand should be up, right? Okay. So all of us cleaned our teeth this morning. How many of us woke up and had a debate with ourselves? 47 years of cleaning my teeth. Maybe I'm going to take today off. Maybe I don't feel like cleaning my teeth this morning. Who had to mentally debate, don't I clean my, forget it. I cleaned them yesterday. Who had that debate? Nobody, right? None of us had a debate of, I cleaned my teeth last night, forget it this morning. We all clean our teeth as a matter of routine. habitual, habit. If we can get more people to look at exercise and integrate activity in the same way, then we stand a real chance of positively impacting health. Sorry for the fast speaking. Okay, so meeting physical activity guidelines, remember 150 minutes of accumulated activity. You can see there are many different things we can do, but truthfully, the most important thing for health remains cardio. You may not see that as the trend. You may see some fitness influencers doing some other stuff, but the most impactful for health remains cardio. It may not be where we start. If I'm very deconditioned, maybe I need to increase my lower body strength before I can do enough activity. But we know we need to get some combination of all of those, hopefully, into my physical activity each week. By the way, the minimum threshold for strength training is twice a week. Total body workout twice a week. That may be a nicer way to start my exercise habit. It's interesting when we ask people, are you doing enough exercise for your health? In a study of 122 countries, almost 70%, 69%, yep, we're doing enough. I'm doing enough to maintain my health. That's what, when we survey, you tell us, are you fit enough? Are you active enough? Yeah, 70%. Do you think that's true? It's interesting. When we actually measure that using accelerometry, so using accurate measures, we go from, remember, 69% of people saying, yeah, we do enough. Unfortunately, the reality is it's only 4%. This is legitimate data. This is real science. This is my background. The reality is very clear. There are only correlations in health with measured increases in activity. It's not what people think they do or tell us they're doing. It's what people are actually doing, and we have to measure that. So we can't necessarily trust what people tell us. Just a thought. Okay, so in addition to that, sorry, let me go back one stage. Many people, when they think of exercise options, they think it's like this. Look at his face. Is that a happy face? So again, I often make a comparison, and no offense, but many non-exercisers look at personal trainers or other fitness experts like they look at their dentist. Now, I know we have amazing healthcare here in Taiwan. I'm a recipient of that. I live here, very happy. But still, the dentist causes me pain and charges me money. Right? What do you think the non-exercisers think about trainers? Is he in pain? He looks kind of like he's in pain, and maybe he's having to pay money for that experience. So there is perhaps a counterpoint to this, and that's fine if he chooses to work out like this, that's fine. If he likes to, that's fine. But does he have to? And my message is that there's definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach, and that what I call informed choice. So I understand what is the advantage of working out harder. By the way, it basically counts for double. Did you hear that? If my target is to accumulate 150 minutes of activity, if I do it at a high intensity, I only need roughly half of that, around 75 minutes as a minimum threshold of higher intensity activity. That's typically described as vigorous activity. That's typically measured in METs as above 6, which is just a measure of intensity. Okay, so what intensity is appropriate? It's interesting that an old researcher who I studied when I was back in university, this guy's fascinating to me, Rod Dishman. He studied both physiology and psychology and put them together. It's pretty interesting to me. He said as long ago, he said, it's time to consider which intensity is more likely to increase pleasure. This thing in psychology is called affective, positive affective response, which increases pleasure, which promotes motivation and adherence. So I go back to that image of my guy. How many of you want to work out like that? How many of a given population want to work out at a 9 or 10 out of 10 in terms of effort? Well, you don't have to answer because I have some data to share with you, so you can stay quiet. Okay, so when we look at the data on intensity, firstly, we know that exercise 5 days per week can improve our immune system. If we exercise and we meet the physical activity guidelines, we can increase our immune system. Unfortunately, unfortunately, if we work too hard, it can have a counter effect. If you work really, really hard at high intensities, actually your initial response is your immune system is suppressed, it's less effective. Not forever, it's kind of fairly quick post the exercise activity. It's maybe a 2 to 6 hour window when your immune system is lowered. But do you think in a global pandemic that's a situation we want? What's interesting is the reverse. If we stay with moderate intensity activity levels, the boost to our immune system is pretty constant and sustained. So we maybe need to think about that. High intensity actually reduces our immune system. Moderate intensity maintains and improves that. I have a summary slide coming up. By the way, sorry, I should have said, if anyone wants these slides, my email is coming up at the end and I will send a copy of the presentation to you for free. So just take my email at the end. Or take as many pictures as you like. So the summary is here. Moderate intensity exercise and not high intensity may be more helpful for people who are worried about the sort of immuno response from exercise, their resilience to avoiding illnesses, particularly viral illnesses. That make sense? Any questions? You look very serious. It's kind of scary. Okay. So one of the things I also wanted to look at, how am I doing on time, by the way? Well, you can tell me in a minute. So one of the things I wanted to share, this is a meta-analysis from a researcher called Ekekakis. You can't see that, it's very small at the bottom. A meta-analysis is an overview of research. And in this instance, more than 60 studies were collated. And we see that when the exercise is moderate, is comfortable, that's really what the measure was, almost everybody likes it. They feel good. And the measure they were talking about was that affective response. Do I feel good? Do I want to do it again? Do I feel energized? Do I feel good about that? Myself, the activity? Yeah. When the exercise is moderate, almost everyone says, that's cool, I can do that. I want to do it again. When the exercise is close to my lactate threshold, which is that point where my breathing is high, my muscles are starting to burn, we get an interesting mixed response. No joy. There we go. So when it's at, we get a varied response. And this is just my opinion now. This is not data analysis. My opinion is that probably the people who like that exercise are the fit people. The people that don't like it are probably the people who are unfit. That's okay. You're just unfit right now. But what's interesting to me is when it is above the lactate threshold, when it's close to 9 or 10 out of 10 on an effort scale, almost everyone does not want to do it again. Even elite level athletes on maximal testing day back when I worked in a physiology lab, when I said, team, today's the maximal testing day, then I'm a bit sick, Ben, I cannot. Yeah, but I need to rest, Ben, I cannot do the test. Got it. So we need to bear that in mind. Even elite level athletes don't particularly enjoy, so the report was 95% of people said they don't like it. By the way, the researchers said the 5% who said they did were probably lying. They said they probably felt peer pressure to say that they liked it. So yeah, there are solutions. We have one, some of you have seen this. This is a digital solution that may fit somewhere in the middle. But my message is it's just one of many solutions. So yeah, there's some digital offerings. And they are important, but if I may, they're kind of like the Amazon algorithm. When Amazon says, other people who purchase this also purchase this, and I think, yeah, maybe I'll buy that book too. That's kind of what this is. And I guess either way, I think a personal response still has value. If you recommend a book to me, it's even more powerful than the anonymous Amazon algorithm. in the same way as you telling me how to adapt my exercise to avoid my shoulder pain may be more powerful, even more powerful, but we can get close to that. And it's all predicated, it's all based on accurate information. So we have movement tracking capabilities that can approximate good technique that manage joint stress and therefore risk of injury. That too is my background in a fairly general sense. So what am I saying here? We need to help people make informed choice. We need to understand how much activity people can tolerate. We also need to maybe measure that, track that, and encourage that over time. We need to allow people to make choices, whether it's indoors, outdoors, a combination of all of them. We perhaps want to offer appropriate guidance, accurate information, and share it in a timely way. And hopefully we're going to build in an enjoyment factor that allows people to make these changes long term. I've got 3 more summary points. We offer choice. If we simply offer choice, we double the likelihood people will change. Did you get that? If we simply say, here's a long workout and a short workout, we double the likelihood they will succeed. Okay, we encourage and facilitate activity tracking, and that's where digital, frictionless, easy tracking is important, not just for the individual, but for the coach or professional who's guiding that to make the progressions appropriate. And my last point is we just discussed there may be some advantages actually to keeping exercise moderate. For somebody like me who prefers strength training to cardio, that's pretty cool. But again, it has an immunosuppressant difference between high and low intensity, as we touched on. Cool? So then, that's this. You've seen this before. This, truthfully, is my model, irrespective of whether it's at home, in a professional setting, one-on-one personal training, or me just using Zwift to encourage my cycling activity. It's a combination of information, positive reinforcement, coaching, social, and support. That's opinion-based, but hopefully you can see it's fairly based on research. For anyone who's interested, these are the references. So I have a science background. I'm sorry about that. But if you want to dig into some of those references, they're here for you. Remember, I will share this presentation with you, and that is my email on the bottom. So feel free to reach out. Thank you again for your time and attention. Thank you for the opportunity to present some of this thinking. And I really sincerely hope, my last point, that you guys, together with us, I'm very enthused, very encouraged at the opportunity to collaborate more. There is a real opportunity now more than ever to positively impact the health of populations. More people want it. I guess we have an opportunity to help and to support it better than ever before. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your explicit sharing. 谢谢我们的讲者，各位来宾，我们接下来进行中。
Ladies and gentlemen, we will have a break now. And we will come back by 11, which means we'll have a 15 minutes break. On the 2 sides of the stage, you will be able to see the products with gold medals from 2021 International Cycling Exhibition. So you'll be able to see the e-bike from Darfan. You will also see some innovations, including the fitness F85 treadmill 2021 and the 5mm semi-dry suits. So this is from Aeropack. So you're welcome to come to the 2 sides of our stage to check out these products. Also, given the pandemic, the 2 exhibitions, Taipei Cycle and Thai Sports, are also online. And these 2 online exhibitions were already launched. And they will continue online till 31st of March. Many vendors and manufacturers create a wonderful interaction platform so that global buyers can have this immersive experience of the products. Other than that, There are 360 view displays of the product online. There's video, audio. There's also matching appointments that you can make. So you're all welcome to join the online exhibitions. Let's have a break until 11 o'clock, and please come back on time. Thank you very much, and see you later.
Innovation, especially new markets, as we see that electrification of bicycles is just in the start. And the bicycle adherence already has changed a lot, and the acceptance of the people about different bicycle shapes is already ongoing. That means bicycles more look like small motorcycles. They are getting more massive, they show much more surface, than before people accept it. And this is actually just a start for a totally new transportation world.
The most refreshing product that I saw was actually the most unusual and probably the weirdest idea. You couldn't help but smile when you looked at it. It was just fresh. What we want to see is that guy's or girl's second product, because they're a creative thinker.
Advanced thinking and innovation. This is one of the key that I look for in the D&I awards. As products get entered, the first and foremost is they should be pushing the boundaries of the industry.
透过简单、聪明的方式去解决困难的问题，对，这个是我看中的一部分。另一部分的话是在产品最后成品的细节处理上，怎么去做一个很好的收尾，这也是在这个产品本身吸不吸引人的另一个重点。
科技业也是台湾很重要的一个产业，自行车也是。这两个台湾重要的产业如何能够携手合作？怎么样把我们在科技产业方面关于电脑相关的一些设备啊，怎么样运用在这个脚踏车的产业上？这对台湾来讲都是一个加分的效果，就是1+1应该可以大于2。
One of the common features we see this year is that we have a system design, system thinking. Whereas before it's more of a product, this year we see a lot of the entries start thinking about a system, how they work with each other. So this is a good thing for the industry.
I think what COVID-19 is going to affect is everyone's understanding of how hard it is to make things. So I think it will change the focus on manufacturability, because you can't design things right now that are hard to make because you won't get them for a year. So designing things that are manufacturable is going to become more important.
I think that's also a very good platform for established companies or for newcomers and startups that have some innovation to showcase and to get the word out to the general public or to the industry. Normally they would not be so obviously known or discovered. So with this award, they really get into the spotlight and get the awareness they deserve. And that also, I think, really triggers innovation in general in the bike industry.
各位来宾，我们接下来的议程马上。
Ladies and gentlemen, the next session will start soon. Please take your seat. Also remind you to remember put your phones on vibration or silent mode. Thank you very much.
各位来宾，欢迎大家回到我们论坛的现场。
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The next topic is Total Solution with IoT Physical Wellness. Together with us is Mr. James Fan, Director of Medical IoT Division, Compal and Shennona. They focus on smart medical services. That's why with their innovation Stampede, which is a smart exercise mattress, they provide a great platform for a family and people of all age. Without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Fan. Good morning. I want to thank the organizer for the invitation so that I can be here to share with you how Compal and Shennona develop these new service and products that integrates medical services and exercise.
And lasting, not disaster. Okay, so 那这部分的话，我是范伟毅。那我今天代表人保部分跟各位来分享，我们在这3年我们的人保部分怎么起。
So today with you, I would like to take you through how in the past 3 years, how we help facilitate health of the people, what our direction is, what our roadmap is, and what our outlook is. Very quickly, I want to go through the Compal Group's background. I think you all know our brand, but for us to start IoT, it started rather recently. So our 2020 revenue is about 37.4 billion US dollars, which is about 100 million US dollars. We have produced notebooks, wearable IoT products, smart devices, and our total revenue, 40% come from those products I have just mentioned last year. And later on, I'll be more specific. I will touch upon our healthcare IoT, smart city, iRobot 5G, and wearable devices, as well as other applications. This is our biotechnology and biomedicine branches. For example, in biomedical sector, under the leadership by the Vice Chairman Chen, we want to focus on treatment, and that's why we have our stem cell treatments. We have our CAR-T, and their centers in different regions in Taiwan, so that we can use the stem cell technology for cancer treatment. The second sector of ours is a medical service. In the past 5 years, we were very aggressive in opening our clinics. For example, our headquarters on Ruiguang Road has a clinic to serve the employees of our company, and as well as their animals as well. That's why we also have a veterinary clinics. You may not see these very recently because we incorporate our services in all different branches of our business. That's how Compal is different from other companies. The third sector in biomedical area is medical information, because it is really important to communicate information between medical professionals and the patients. And when this information is delivered, we want to see some effect. We don't want to deliver solutions which are not exactly needed by the patient. So that's what we're doing. We help to relay the messages and the information. We also have a good platform for electronic medical history. And it is only useful when we can conduct some analysis of this data. Otherwise, it's going to be garbage in and garbage out. So analyzing the data, making prediction is the trend for the future. And medical device, the second from last. We have ODM DNA in our business. So in the past 5 years, we have our own GMP and ISO 13485. We have the production lines for these products already in Taiwan. We want to localize production. We have the local capacity to produce. So some services or equipment such as ultrasound or our partner Philips, we're also working with them in rolling out some products. And last, on AI, we want to use brainwaves to diagnose or to have a better prediction model to give prescription to people who have depression. So this is a quick overview of our medicine-related businesses. Okay, on IoT, especially on IoT, for medical applications, there are 5 things I want to talk about. The first thing is 5G smart hospitals. So I want to thank the Ministry of Economic Affairs. I want to thank the research organizations in Taiwan for their support. We have our own 5G smart hospitals applications. So in the second half of this year, we will launch some new services. And my focus today is sports and medicine integration, which will be my topic today. So in the following slides, I'll be talking about what we have been doing. I think preventive medicine is really important. We don't want to wait when we're sick. Then we seek medical attention. So we want to see how exercise can help us prevent medical or health issues. And medical equipment, information platform, treatment, and other services are also other branches that all use our IoT solutions. Okay, so going back into my topic today. So how do we use IoT to combine health and exercise and medicine? Well, in the past several years, we are commissioned with some government projects. So it's my pleasure to be here to share with you. So we have a project to build a smart township. In this project, there are several townships, and we want to create a model to localize the services in Chiayi County, Chiayi City, and Penghu, where the population is reducing and older than other cities. So when we do exercise, when we talk about sport, the most important thing is to make it interesting so that people will be willing to continue to it. If I do a session of exercise with extremely high intensity, then I'll probably do it once a week or once a month only. And health clubs are especially happy with this kind of customers because they pay, but they don't come to use the equipment. So by a show of a hand, if you go to a health club once every week, please raise your hand. Once every week? Okay. No hands or very few hands. So it's probably only 2% of you who go to the health club once every week. So if I am the operator of the health club, I'll be very happy. But just like Ben mentioned earlier, we want sports and exercise to be part of the lifestyle so that people can stay healthy, they have better lifestyle. And we also provide long-term care centers, and we want these locations to be really effective. We don't want them to be there but serve no one. So it's really important to truly serve people. And it is also important that we want to have a very effective data analysis model. And many of you, I believe, are from the health industry. You have your own business models, but business models is the key to the success of a business. So I then will talk about how we do it. So these are the 4 locations where we have our services. And later on, I will talk about, we also launched the project in 20 other locations.
The purpose of these projects is to make physical activity as part of people's lifestyle. A lot of these projects were commissioned by the city governments or town governments. So sometimes it is very challenging to negotiate with these government officials or agencies. to make sure that our goal can be reached in our project. Some of our locations are within government buildings. Some of them are within hospitals. For example, in Chiayi City, we cooperate with a Christian hospital. In Chiayi, we also choose some retail stores that are big in the local community. For example, Ashou shoe retail chain. In these locations, what kind of service do we provide? We provide a full service to take care of the health of local users. For example, if you feel that your knee is hurting today, would you go to the hospital straight away? Not necessarily. Sometimes there are people who come to the health club or fitness center. They will probably complain to their coaches that, oh, I feel a little bit of sore in my knees. And your coach may tell you, oh, it's because you're overweight. So how do we alleviate your knee soreness? It's by providing you with the right prescription of fitness activities to control your weight, and that will lead to an alleviation of your knee soreness. So it's not necessarily that if you feel pain in any part of your body, you have to go to the hospital right away and get medical intervention. So this is the type of service that we are providing with our project. We don't want people to go to the hospital and endure very expensive and lengthy treatment just because of some, minor physical ailment. These physical ailments may be alleviated or mitigated by physical activities. In our projects, we also have some applications or technological products where we can facilitate the efficiency of going to hospitals and having checkups. For these users, after participating in regular physical activities and exercises for a while, our services can also provide them with the tracking services of their health status to see if their health status has indeed improved because of these physical activities. If not, we will refer these users to PTs or OTs who can look into specific issues involved in specific users and to provide them with some tailor-made prescription of physical activities. Our projects also include home care and home visits. So in these remote areas where we provide the services, a lot of grandpas and grandmas stay at home with their grandchildren. So these elderly population would need home carers for regular visits and regular health status monitoring. In these locations where we provide services to, we also connect to local hospitals so that our users can have online registration for outpatient visits. So here you can see these are some of our locations, including the Chiayi National City Health Center and the Ashou shoe retail chain at Chiayi County. I think a lot of people would be surprised to find Ashou Shoe Company becoming one of our partners. Actually, Ashou Shoe Company is a very interesting company where they also care about local engagement. Now I would like to introduce one of our products, Stampede, a smart sports mattress. So we know that a couple of years ago, the Summer Universiade was held here in Taiwan. And it was the first time that we were able to build this smart fitness center equipped with Stampede. These Stampedes are fit for professional athletes training as well. So these were some of the footage from the Summer Universiade, the period of Summer Universiade, where athletes use our Stampedes to keep up with the training. So with with this kind of Stampede smart sports metrics, we are able to record a lot of sports data so that these athletes and their coaches can look into these data to see how they can improve their physical fitness. This function is also very useful for the general public. With this metrics, we are also able to record the intensity and the accuracy of these trainees. These young talents from the universities also provided us with a lot of feedback for us to improve our products. Later on, I will also give you more information about additional functions of this product, Stampede. So we've just seen footages from professional athletes using Stampede, but the majority of our population is not professional athletes. So when we promote Stampede, we have also targeted the younger population, children. We have targeted toddlers, preschoolers. We have targeted the elderly, and also people who need physical rehabilitation. We have also cooperated with a lot of schools to deploy Stampede in their gyms. This is a video from a university in Taipei. And this is a project where government subsidies were given to create a smart fitness gym. And here you can see Mayor Ke of Taipei City also had fun with Stampede. In the earlier video, you could see there were a lot of international athletes who participated in the Universiade who practice on Stampede. And because they receive regular training, so they automatically know how to do these training on Stampede. But we know that the general public probably don't know how to exercise. So with Stampede, we also installed some programs, some training programs. These training programs can be combined to become cycle training. After each cycle, a report will be generated for these users to understand their physical health status during the training. And because of these reports, we will be able to trace the change in physical fitness in our users. For example, this is one example of the elderly population using Stampede. So this is a pretty low level intensity, but you could see that this helps them with improving agility and reducing response time. We know that Taiwan is entering into an aging society. And in the aging society, the whole healthcare system is very burdened by dementia. This kind of training and exercise can reduce the possibility of dementia. So these Stampedes are deployed in a community center. So these local moms and grandmas are able to come here and to do this kind of, low-level intensity training that can improve their agility and response time. This is Yang Junhan, one of the track and field athletes of Taiwan's national team. So in 2020, in our Sports Industry Expo, he experienced training on Stampede. So you can see that Stampede really is a product for people of all ages. It is suitable for grandmas. It is also suitable for national athletes. And after training, be it for grandmas or for professional athletes, you will be able to generate reports to track your health status. This is Lotte girl. So they are the cheerleaders for the Lotte baseball team here in Taiwan's Professional Baseball League. So we have cooperated with them to do some promotion of Stampede. So this concludes my introduction of Stampede. Next, I would like to talk about another solution that's provided in our projects and our locations, and that is Boost Fix. This allows remote rehabilitation and physical therapy sessions. So with Boost Fix, you are able to measure the range of motion that different parts of your ankle can reach. And these data can tell doctors or physical therapists what's your physical fitness status and what kind of prescription they need to give you. We have been promoting this Boost Fix product in Taiwan and also in China. And because of COVID-19, a lot of people are afraid to go to hospitals, but they still need physical therapies. So Boost Fix became a very big help. 3 years ago, we helped Tono. Tono is a company that facilitates weight training at home. So we helped Tono to develop and establish this kind of remote training platform. I think if you look at the case of Johnson's Mirror, you can also see that a platform is really key to make sure that these services we provide can generate revenues. Actually, Boost Fix also experienced a huge surge of orders. Right now, every month we get orders for 3,000 to 4,000 units of them. Other than selling these physical products, I think subscription is also a very important business model that we need to turn to. So I look forward to having more discussions with you in terms of how to develop the subscription model here in our industry. Boost Fix is actually a medical device. So in the United States, it's FDA approved. In Taiwan, it's TFDA approved. So we are able to also promote the Boost Fix in hospitals. Here I'm showing you a video of one of our actual users. He is 77 years old, male. He has received a knee joint replacement surgery, and usually it requires 3 to 4 months of rehabilitation afterwards in order to return to normal functions. However, it only took him 2 months to recover fully from this replacement surgery. So let's look at his experience. So he and his doctor used Boost Fix to conduct remote physical training sessions. When we use Boost Fix, we also keep track of different types of data to get an update of his status and progress. During the physical therapy period, I could see that my knee functions improved steadily. Does using this equipment very complicated? No, it's not very complicated. Of course, it takes a little bit of time to learn it. However, it's not complicated to use. And I think the key here is patience. You see, he says the key is patience. So patience means this user will be able to engage in lasting exercises.
Let me move on. So This is a list of different KPIs. Well, for example, we are able to reduce 17% manual registration. It saves people's time in line for an average of 30 minutes, so that they don't have to stay in the hospital for so long. Because if patients stay in the hospital for so long, it is possible that they become infected with other sicknesses. So we want to use our technologies to help reduce the chances of extra infection. And we are able to support the measurements of some vital signs. We're able to increase these measurements by a factor of 10. And we're able to use our platform to find potential or people who have potential high blood pressure. Well, among the women population, we're able to find 20% of them. In the male population, we're able to find 50% of the people who may have high pressure. So these are our press conferences in 4 different cities. These are 212 service locations that we have created. These are the stores, local stores that we work with. We have a contract with them. We want, of course, the people to have fun. And when people exercise, they can earn some credits. And the grandmas and grandpas, after earning these credits, they can use these credits to make purchase at local stores. So this is how we localize our services. Finally, I have a video to show with all of you. How did we start from scratch? From nothing to our services, especially back in 2019 or at the end of it, the pandemic just started and there were challenges. But we want to reduce the gap between cities and remote areas. So in 2019, our company was created. We work with technology universities to do more research and developments. We work with local cities. We have 4 centers as our demonstration sites. There are so many stories behind. And only after we decided to go local, we find how we can provide the services, the medical services or health services that people need. So we don't want to wait until when people need therapies or medicine. We want to help prevent diseases. But is a long-term care market is an easy market to enter, to operate? It's not easy, but it's the right thing to do for Taiwan. And next, we would like to expand our services internationally. So we have the home version of the Stampede mattress. As for these services, we plan to care for the people in Taiwan first, because that is one of our most important missions, to care for the health of people in Taiwan. Okay, if you want more information, please go to the Facebook page of Compal and Shennona. And you may be curious about our locations. These are the 20 locations. Some are health centers, health clubs, or schools. We work with an elementary school in Taitra. This school was very famous for its baseball team, and we want to provide care for their baseball players. So if you're interested in our services, I welcome all of you to come to the headquarters of our company. We can have coffee together. Thank you very much, Mr. Fan. Next, which is our 4th session on crossover sport meeting gaming. With us is Mr. Taiko Chen, founder and experienced architect from Fourdesire. It is a company that incorporates fun with design and technology. They focus on apps for mobile devices so that people can solve their problems in life through playing. Let's welcome Mr. Taiko Chen from Fourdesire. Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here. Fourdesire is a very cool company, which is different from other companies that you look at. Fourdesire is an app company. We are committed to developing fun applications. But before I start, I want to introduce myself very briefly. I am the CEO and the founder of Fourdesire. I'm also an executive producer because in this environment of innovation, we need to tap into innovations that we learn from other industries. So it's not only about tools, it's only about how we innovate so that all of the users can enjoy and have fun in our solutions. We want to be creative, we want to provide stories to our users. A New York Times magazine back in 2008 had this one as their cover. The title is, "Why Do We Play?" So why do people play? I really love this magazine because in this one, a lot of discussions are around why we play. What do we play for? There are video games, there are table games, they're all very appealing. But what's the main reason that we want to play games? I think that is a very interesting topic. After reading this magazine, or at least after seeing the cover, I don't know if you have noticed that something is missing. So why do we play? This, in fact, is a very difficult question. There are many young kids on the cover. They play with hula hoop, they dance, they play balls, and in other games. But something is missing. What is missing? You and I, the adults. Traditionally, when we talk about play, when we study the behavior of play, we focus only on people who are under 18 years old because we believe that playing games helps people learn. But at the age of 6, that was the most challenging time for a young kid because that's when they have to go to school. So the night before the school day, parents may believe that, if my children go to school, they will have fun, they'll enjoy. But when children come back to their family, parents start asking, where's your homework? Have you finished it? So yesterday before school starts, they can play with Lego. But today, or starting from today, what they can do every day is to write their homework on math, on science. So when we talk about play, I think play should be also be enjoyed by the adults. Play is creative and influential. So we want to create fun. We want to expand horizons. We want to make lives less dull. When things are fun, the consumers will be willing to do it and do it more. And your product will have more interaction with their consumers, and they will be able to continue to use our solutions. So these are the 4 very interesting products that we have. We started in 2012 and 2013. Plant Nanny was our first product. It was so much fun application that reminds you to drink water. Drinking water is very important to our health. By the age of 28, that was when I finally understood water was important. So what happened then? I did my first physical examination, and my doctor told me that I have a stone in my kidney, and the only reason to get rid of it is to drink a lot of water. So I had to drink 3,000 cc water every day. It's easier said than done. So how do we help people with this app? This is a really cute Plant Nanny. When you drink water, you see the plant start growing. If you don't drink water, the plant is gradually dying. So this plant is an indication of how much water you drink. And this is a good tool for children who have cancer, for example, because it reminds them how much water they should drink. And in the middle, you see another application, Walker. Walker is a pedometer, but it is also a galaxy adventure game. We want the users to take this app outside to walk more steps, to activate their spaceships, and to make exploration in the universe. We want all the users to bring their app or mobile phone to go outside to have at least 10,000 steps every day. Our doctors recommended that, but again, it's easier said than done. And several years after this launch of the products, we see that almost all the users increase their steps by 50% after 1 month of use. And we also have a financial or a bookkeeping app. So this app allows you to build your city. If you enter an entry of a payment today, you have elements that you can use to build your building or city. As time goes by, you'll be able to create a city that is totally yours. This is a way to encourage users to keep keeping their book. And one of the users told me that he was able to save some money through this app, and he finally bought a car. And we were really happy for that. Another user said that he was able to save the first payment, the down payment for their house. And he proposed to his future wife, and she said yes. That was also a story that made us so happy. So there are 30 million users on all of these games. And this number is even larger than the population of Taiwan. But this is very encouraging because we believe that adults also need to play. And play can change our health, our life, our diet, our exercise, our finance. All things big and small can be done in a fun way. So the thing is whether we can find what make people feel fun. So our core value or our core values are playfulness and wellness. Playfulness is a very interesting concept. You have probably heard of gamification. Gamification is the buzzword in the past several years, but I don't personally like it. The word gamification is defined in textbook as using the game elements in a non-game context. This means that you are using these elements from game in places where there's no game. So what's the problem? Not everyone loves games. Well, I like to play Tetris, and my other colleagues enjoy other games. Different games have different elements. So if we simply move this element from games to other contexts, it doesn't work. You have so many badges, so many credits that you give out through your games, but they're not appealing. It's almost like your mileage. The consumers may want to accumulate their mileage, but it is not a fun thing to do. So we want to focus on how we can make people feel playful, that they want to play. So when you hear the word gamification, don't just focus on game. Game is only one of the media. What we really want is for our product to be played. It doesn't have to be a game, but it can be played or played with. And the other core value is wellness. It's difficult to translate that into Chinese, but we can translate as it's the quality of life. It includes intellectual, financial, educational, physical, and mental wellness. So these 5 types of wellness are important to our life. We can also improve the quality of life through play so that people are happy in their life, which is very important.
理念呢是根基在一个非常非常有名的理。
So we developed all these beliefs based on the concept of experience economy, which is also a very well-known concept. I think we are at a very different age right now. In the past, when the first industrial revolution took place, people focus on mass production. All of the products are the same. But today, we're at a different age where we want to pay for services, not for mass-produced products. So the service itself needs to be more valuable than the product, than the tangible product for us to fork out our money. And in the next era, I think selling services is not enough. We need to sell experiences. During the agricultural age, pre-industrial revolution, I think a lot of people make money by extracting commodities like soybeans or different minerals. And during the industrial age, people start to have abilities to make these commodities into goods, and this is what consumers pay money for. And right now, we are at a service-oriented age where only selling tangible products and mass-produced products is not enough. You need to have quality services to attract consumers. In the next era, it will be about staging experiences. Commodities are extracted, goods are made, services are delivered, and experiences are staged. Here, I would like to highlight this verb here. You have to stage experiences and invite your users to come into that experience you have staged for them. Here, I am giving you a few indices to look at these different stages of, providing values to consumers. During the time of goods making, the value lies in tangible goods, in standardized formats, and in features. However, moving into today's age where value is about delivering services, the key features here are intangible, customized, and creating benefits for your consumers. During the next era, when we stage experiences, we need to make sure that it is a personal experience. And we need to look at the consumers' sensations. What have they felt? What are their sensations as a result of this experience? It's not just about benefits and values. It's the sensations that they have got as a result of these experiences. I want to categorize experiences into 4 different dimensions. So on the horizontal axis here, you can see from immersion to absorption. Immersion means, for example, a VR experience. That will be an immersive experience. When we go into a museum surrounded by these artifacts, this will be an immersive experience. What's absorption? Absorption is, for example, you're sitting here listening to me talking or getting the information from some sources. That will be absorption. On the vertical axis, we have active to passive. Active means the consumers can actively engage in the experience. Passive is what you're doing here, or when you go to a concert, you're just listening. You are not participating in the creation of that experience. Now, with these 2 different axes, we are able to have 4 different dimensions of experiences. Active and absorption, that will be an educational experience. So in any kind of educational experience, you have to make sure that your consumers are active and they can absorb the education materials they need. Absorption and passive creates the dimension of entertainment. Immersive and passive creates aesthetic experience. And then finally, the most important category here is escapist experience. This is where consumers can be completely immersed in the stage that you have created for them and become an active member of that experience. Another thing we need to pay attention to is what can the users remember after leaving this experience, after this experience ends. So, for example, in a lot of sectors, we have questionnaires and surveys asking people about their satisfaction of your service. Another question I think you can ask these surveys is, what do you remember the most? What makes you most impressed with? A lot of times when we go to, for example, a Disneyland, a lot of those fun rides have very long queues. You have to queue for 1 or 2 hours in order to go onto those rides. However, after you leave Disneyland, you don't remember those long queues. You remember how exciting you are on that Star Wars ride. Here in the sporting industry, we can see that most companies focus on wellness products or wellness services. However, in order to create wellness, we also need to make sure that consumers are engaged, and this is where playfulness comes into place. A lot of parents complain that their kids would stay on the couch and play video games for 2 or 3 hours after school. They are not willing to do anything else. This is where we want to find inspiration from. So, is this something new? No. This is a product that came from 25 years ago. Nintendo launched this 25 years ago. It's called Pocket Pikachu. I think everybody knows Pikachu, right? If you play Pokemon, you know Pikachu. This Pocket Pikachu is a very small device. When you put it in your pocket, it will record how many steps you have walked today. And the more you walk, the happier Pikachu will be. And you will be able to interact with Pikachu in some very simple games. It's very simple. It's not complicated at all, but it is something that motivates people to walk more or walk further. 25 years ago, Nintendo launches its Ring Fit. So here you can see that Nintendo has been thinking about how to use playfulness to help people exercise. I don't think anyone who plays with Ring Fit would be thinking, oh, I want to exercise today, so that's why I want to pick up my Ring Fit. I think for them, they're thinking about, I want to escape into that experience in the Ring Fit adventure. This is another product called Digimon Pendulum. This is also a pedometer. And as you walk further and walk more, your monster in this Digimon Pendulum will grow into different forms, and they would have more abilities or more power. In 2021, there is a new product called Digital Monster Bracelet. This is a very popular product. It has a very high sales volume. A lot of people have awareness on their own health status. So they are willing to wear this kind of device where they can keep track of their workouts, but at the same time, they can see their pocket monster or digital monster growing as a result. This is 6-Star from the United States. They have launched an app called Zombie Run. So how do you play with Zombie Run? So you bring your cell phone, your mobile phone, when you run, and when you put on the headsets in this app, you will hear the sound of zombies running after you. So you have to run for your life. And if you are caught by one of the zombies, you need to try to find a emergency relief package in order to sustain your life. And when you run for long enough, you will be able to collect a lot of tools or new weapons, create your own base against the zombies. This Zombie Run app has encouraged a lot of people to run every day and to plan actively how long and how far they want to run. This is called the Walk. This is also a very interesting product. So once again, it encourages players to walk at least 10,000 steps a day. So here in this app, there is a story where in London, there's going to be an explosion happening, and you have the key to resolve the situation. So you have to walk a very long distance, 10,000 steps, in order to hand the solution to the person who can resolve the situation. So in this app, there are several stories like this where as you exercise, you are also engaged in another experience. So these are very good examples of using experiences and playfulness to encourage people to exercise and work out. In our company, we have created this app called Walker. This is a pedometer. Every day, the user can accumulate the power for this game. And after you achieve 10,000 steps, the power for the spaceship in this app will be doubled. And with enough power, the spaceship can take this astronauts to different planets. So this is how we create this playfulness environment. So I don't think ranking is enough. Thinking about ranking, that's only one way of creating game elements in your app. For us, we want to create these very interesting and playful planets where users want to explore. And in order to explore these planets, you need to walk far enough in order to accumulate the energy for the spaceship in this app to fly to these planets. And in order to improve user engagement and interaction, we have created a function called bridging. This means that your energy can be connected, can be bridged with your friends. So you can get the energy that your friends has accumulated because of walking. So, for example, we have a user who is studying abroad, and her parents are here in Taiwan. So they cannot talk to each other every day because of the time difference. However, they can become friends on this bridge. And every morning when she wakes up in Europe, she will be able to see how many steps her parents have walked the day before. So she will be able to keep track of the activity level of her parents. And because of this system, because it creates a community, so people will care about each other. Oh, I can see that your energy has been slow the previous day. What happened? So you can care about each other's life and health status. And everybody will fall in love with walking. We also provide a lot of game functions in this app. For example, there are all sorts of fleets or legends. After you reach a certain level of energy, you will be able to unlock this new fleet or unlock this new legend. These really motivates our users to walk more. After COVID-19 pandemic broke out, a lot of users are confined at homes. They cannot walk outside. So we added new functions into this app. And that is, we have created some alien visitors. So these aliens are actually coaches. They are trainers. They will supervise you to do some workouts such as jumping jacks or push-ups. So a lot of our users would invite these alien visitors to their planet and to give them some prescription for exercises such as jumping jack and push-ups. So we can see that in this app, because of COVID-19, a lot of people have reduced the amount of walking they are doing. However, they are increasing the amount of workout they're doing with jumping jacks or push-ups. And also, it can continue to make sure our users remain on this app and talk to each other about their physical exercise level. And because of these online engagements, our users also become good friends offline. They will create some offline meetings, meetups. For example, in New York, in Tokyo, in Taiwan, we can see that users in different cities from these countries would organize offline meetups so that they can exercise together in the real world as well. Now I want to go into details for Plant Nanny. So Plant Nanny is an app that can remind you to drink water. In this app, we have designed a lot of very interesting plants. And every time you drink water, your plant will grow up, and these plants will grow into different forms. So users will be very interested to find out what their plants will look like eventually when they drink enough water. Everybody's curious. Curiosity is a human nature. So our users will be curious about what their plants will look like eventually.
So we hire some plant and expert to invent these possible plants. Well, for example, one of the plant is a cactus. When cactus doesn't have water, what does it happen? That's part of the story of Plant Nanny. When there's a story, our users are attracted to it and want to find out more. In gyms or health clubs in the United States, or when we work with them, we realize that this application is very useful in encouraging children or sometimes adults to drink water. Users want to collect more plants so that they can grow more plants. They can use water to grow the plant. And this app will remind the users to drink water. And through the weight and other body indicators of this user, this app is able to calculate what's the appropriate amount of water that should be drunk by the user. Our users love it. So on IG or Facebook, we have communities of people who talk about how much water they drink, what tips they use to encourage themselves to drink water, what plants they have collected. I think this is a very interesting part of the game. In our community, you'll be able to see that there are daily goals. Users may have different containers. There are mugs, there are Starbucks, a cup, there's a glass. So we connect our app with Google Health so that the information from our app can be imported into your iOS phone or Google phone, and users can review their daily progress. When all of these information and data is combined, we have a great database. We can see whether the users drink enough water, whether they do enough exercise, whether we need to design new games and stages of the games to encourage them. So it's very interesting in design the games, and it is something that traditional fitness equipment cannot do. At the end of my presentation, I want to share this with you. So based on playfulness and wellness, we want to consider 4 important elements which should be combined. And the first element is smartphone. And smartphones have great sensors. With the sensors, we're able to collect all kind of data. For example, whether or not some people put most of their weight on their left foot, how their sleep is like, how their oxygen level in their blood is like, and all of these can be obtained from the smartphone. And if there's extra data that requires to be collected, we can rely on other smart devices, wearables, smart shoelaces, and so on. And the third element is good design. When we have a good app, and software is as important as the hardware. And the design is, of course, the key so that we can create a good experience and a journey for the users. And when all of these elements are combined, I believe that we can create the best journey and experience for our users. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Taco Chen, for your presentation. This is the end of our morning sessions. Thank you very much for being part of it. By 1:30 in the afternoon, we will open the venue for check-in, and the sessions will start at 2 p.m. on sharp. We will have so many things to continue to discuss, so you're welcome to come back. And please help fill a satisfaction survey, and please bring all of your possessions. And please also remember to return your headset for interpretation, and I look forward to seeing you in the afternoon. Goodbye.